Hey, Dr. PI, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Asher, how's it going? Welcome, and thank you very much.
You're very welcome. As you know, and for anyone who doesn't know you, I always like to ask every guest, who do you say you are?
I say I am a person that has been put on this earth to make a difference and help other people achieve their goals, and to a person that helps different parts and different collaborations happen. So I'm a consensus builder. I'm a collaborator. I'm a team player. I'm a leader,
Hmm.
husband, father, and all of those things that come along with it.
Awesome. And like as we were talking earlier, you are now set up in your new office there at the University of Louisville, like you're repping on your shirt.
Oh yeah. It's good. It's important to continue to climb and grow and do good work and be recognized for it. So I'm definitely appreciative of promotion that I've received within the last year, and then a new office in the last few months. So still actually doing some remodeling here. So I've got nothing up on my walls yet, but it's coming.
Nice. It's funny. It'll probably be like a night and day difference when you watch this back to be like, man, I
Yeah.
remember when I first got in there.
Yep. And yeah, the walls were this old dingy yellow. Now I got some neutral gray going on. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's going to create a nice little backdrop for me to do some fancier things.
Nice. And
Yeah.
how do you how has 2025 been for you? What's this year been about?
I would say perspective shifting and being able to look at things a different way. And I think earlier when we're younger and it's earlier in our careers, it's about, conquering, growing, adding, multiplying. And I think the point I'm at right now is about refining. It's about taking those things that I've brought, and how do I make them better? How do I? And it's not about, I have to continue to adapt and change, but how do I refine my processes, my thought patterns, my my conversations, the relationships I have? How do I tweak those things? How do I fine tune those things?
Hmm, I like that. And I guess even giving a little bit of background, I don't know if you mind me going into it a little bit. It's almost night and day a year out from when you had an accident last year. And it's like almost you're back to it. Nothing seems to be out of sorts or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that what you're referring to is one of my hobbies is riding motorcycles. So I had an accident. It was pretty bad, and fortunately, I'm okay, and I'm recovered, healed, and I think that comes with having some knowledge on how to do some of the repair work myself, but having the knowledge and resources of professionals to help me and rebuild, and not just physically but mentally and spiritually, emotionally. When something like that happens, you have an opportunity to reflect and just reevaluate. So I
Yeah.
think that's what I've been able to do, and it's put me in a really good space to know what's most important and let those other things go.
Yeah. I, man, I don't know if I can put it in context for people, but just hearing you, I think maybe it was a week after the accident because having to be attended to and everything like that, but having the wherewithal at the moment to know that, okay, here's what just happened, coming to here are the people that are attending to me, and here's what I need from them. And then being able to get the feedback to say, hey, I know you're trying to follow your procedures, this, that, and the other, but it's like, I've got a little bit of background in this area and I can walk you through step by step. Like you give me a little bit, I give you a little bit. You give me a little bit, I give
Right.
you a little bit. It's not just like, hey, we're all just panicking, an accident happened and we're all just
Hmm.
like freaking out, not knowing exactly what's the right thing to do.
And I think you have to give those professionals the respect they have. And so they don't know my background. They don't know what I know. What they see and what they do know is an accident has happened,
Mhm.
and they have a job to do. So I think it's important to enter that with the respect. When you have knowledge of a situation, you have to give the professionals the respect, because they have a job to do. Now,
Right.
you're not working at that point. I wasn't working at that point. They were on the job. That's how they take care of their families. That's where their training has come from. That's where their credentials come from. So, how am I going to engage with them
Mm.
to so that we can collaborate on this situation, but do it in a way that they feel respected
Right.
and not disregarded or disrespected. So I think I tried to enter a little bit of humor into the situation, however I could,
Mhm.
just to let them know that you got a job to do here. This is a pretty bad situation. I'm okay, but here's what's going on, and um, so that we can have a good interaction and we could collaborate on this situation that I'm in.
Right. But I guess I always like how you present things because you come from a background of sports, like having like being in athletics now on a broader perspective, like strength and conditioning, and also being able to take lessons that you would get in sports, bring them into life, but also make them situational to where it's like, okay, here's what I can coach someone else to do, but here's how I can coach myself through this situation in order to relate to someone while still respecting them without making it like, oh, like here I am, bigger than life. And then next thing is like, okay, maybe I'm not feeling bigger than life, but at least I still revert back to my training. And this is where
Mhm.
it can help me. And also with faith and other things that go into that.
Yeah, and I think with coaching, the best coaches you learn from your athletes. As much as you're trying to teach them and coach them, you're learning from them. You're getting feedback from them. You're listening to them. You're engaging with them. And one of the things that I took from my athletes is they would share with me, Coach, we appreciate the sport analogies and you teaching us about sport. That's why we're here. You are our coach.
Mm.
But these things that you're teaching us apply to more than just sports. So can you share more examples when you're trying to teach us these lessons that incorporate life, being a student, being a parent, and that was for me mind blowing because you go to school to and all of the amount of continuing education that I've done to when I was coaching and being a strength and conditioning professional. None of those experiences, none of that education taught us on how to incorporate life examples
Yeah.
uh, with the coaching. So developing that skill really all you have to do is reverse it. So now that I'm in administration, or if I'm talking to just having a regular conversation with someone, I can now, if we're talking about life or parenting or anything like that, I have the skills to be able to pull from my athletic and sport background
Mm.
to use those examples to help us with life. So because I was able to do it one way, pulling life examples into sport,
Mm.
all you have to do is reverse it and pull sport examples into life.
Mm. I like that. And also, it really speaks to showing people that you care and them being able to receive that before it's like, okay, well, okay, you just said some words. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, I'm gonna go. It's like in one ear, out the other, but like actually being able to relate, give people
Mhm.
relatable examples and building that time, that trust with them. It definitely goes a long way. And I'd say knowing you over the years, definitely when you speak, I sit up in my chair and I listen and I'm like, okay, like it's coming from Doc. That's a good reputable source.
And I think that comes from so many reps of standing up in front of 100 or so athletes and the feedback that you get on a daily basis.
Mm.
You learn how to command attention. You learn how to spark ideas. You learn how to engage,
Mm.
and you learn how to adapt and adjust your voice. You can slow it up, speed it down. Look at someone and be able to keep their attention, and then know when to shut it down. Like, all
Right.
right, they've had enough, or I've said enough, or my
Mm.
answer's long enough. Shut it down. And I think those are reps that those skills come through reps.
Gotcha. I think that's something I could definitely use practice on learning how to shut down coaching. Like what are some signs that show up for you that you're like, okay, like let me I've said enough. Like let me just pause or just stop what I'm doing in the moment.
Yeah, I think when so self-awareness, but then understanding others' body language, like reading their body language, will give you an indication if what you're saying is resonating or if you've made your point. And sometimes you just stop just to check. Like, if you said a couple of points and they may think it's more of a conversation. And if you keep going, like it's not a conversation.
Right.
So you want, if it is a conversation, you can tell this person wants to, they maybe just wanted one thing from you, and now you've
Mm.
given them three things.
Right.
Maybe that's enough. Maybe give them a chance to express to you what they heard
Mm.
from what you said.
I like that. I
Yeah.
I guess being back in the nuclear industry here recently, it's like one of the things I first learned about it back in 2014 when I first got in it was this thing they call three-way communication. And it's like someone
Mm.
says something, you repeat back to that person what they said, and then they confirm that you understood and you received what it is that they initially said.
Yeah. I mean, I would guess in the industry that you work in, you want that sort of confirmation. Uh, it's health and safety and lives at stake with
Yeah.
the type of work that you do. Mistakes can be catastrophic. So
Mhm.
you want to make sure that what you're saying is being heard like you intended it, and you're understanding what someone was intending to say. I
Right.
think those things are important. Like that's critical. In my sport world, if you heard one play and you did a different play, you ran a different play,
Mhm.
and the other team scores, that's a little bit different than life or death.
Right. But I think that the same things still apply where like whenever people hear nuclear, it goes automatically to like life or death because it's you like the material is something that's longer lasting where it's like it's not just going to go away. But of course they've come up with multiple ways of reducing the dangers and the risk and things like that. And the risk has definitely been worth the reward. But to your point, it's like when we're speaking amongst ourselves, like with other humans, it does at times kind of feel mundane, but having a clear vision of like, this is why we're doing this. Like,
Mhm.
if we don't do this right, this is the outcome. Because I mean, everyone kind of goes out with the same intention of like, hey, we want like football season's about to start,
Right.
all the sports seasons are rolling out, and like everybody goes out of their home with the intention of like, I want to win the day. But
Hmm.
then all these different little distractions come in, and then you might lose sight of what the goal is. And
Right.
through that, it's like it can be easy to forget, oh, like this is why I have to do this thing that seems mundane, or this is why we have to follow this procedure where it's like some rules were basically written in blood. And because someone lost their life, and it's like, oh, we don't want to
Yeah.
repeat that, especially when
Right.
it comes to like construction industry. Like when you're talking Hoover Dams being built, they're like, oh yeah, we'll just count in a couple casualties. But like present day, it's like, yeah, this like no zero tolerance policy. We're not trying to lose anybody on this job. Like you leave with 10 fingers and 10 toes, you come back,
Hmm.
you go home to your family with 10 fingers and 10 toes. We don't want lawsuits or people coming in being like,
Right.
what'd you do to my family? What'd you do to my dad? What'd you do to my mom?
Yeah. I think the legal aspect of what we do permeates every industry. So I find myself I never thought maybe 3 years ago that I would be communicating with legal lawyers, general counsel on a almost daily basis,
Mm,
and that's where I am, where that communication is happening on a daily basis, and those are things that you go to school for strength and conditioning and exercise science and physiology and being a coach, athletic performance and nutrition, sports science. You're going to have to speak to a lawyer and general counsel on a daily basis. That's not a part of the training, the education, but as we continue to climb and grow, those things become we intersect with those more HR,
mm,
legal, the business office, budgets. Those are things that those higher level executive functions. Those are things we have to continue to develop and evolve with.
right. And I guess, as you mentioned before, like, did you have any apprehensions of like, I don't want to talk to a lawyer. What does that mean? Am I in trouble? Like, I didn't go to school for this. Like, how am I going to
Yeah,
deal with this?
yeah. Well, some situations say that you can't avoid that. This is what we have to do. And I think over time with those experiences, you learn that hey, those people are there to assist. They have jobs, they have responsibilities. Their role, they have a certain role,
Mm,
and it's important to respect the roles that they have. They're just regular people who took certain classes to understand legal issues,
mm,
and just like a doctor took classes to understand the body and the medical functions, and we shouldn't be intimidated by that just because they have a certain level of that's their area of expertise. They are there to help us, um, and we can look at lawyers as the same way. They are there to help us to navigate processes and
mm.
policies and procedures and all those things.
Got you. I,
Yeah,
I think that's a great way of putting it because it's like sometimes the mindset that you carry into a situation can probably say if you're leading with fear or if you're
yeah,
like, okay, this can either go bad for me or it's like, okay, here's the reality of maybe I'm on the opposite end of like someone's coming after this or oh,
hmm,
like I got what did they say? I got slapped with a lawsuit or something. But it's like
right,
in getting educated in, okay, this is what's going on. What do I do as a response? Like being able to use tools like ChatGPT now, AI, or even leaning on friends where it's like, okay, who do I know in my network that
right,
would be knowledgeable in this sense? It's helpful to like take that time to step back and to be like, okay, let's let's put this into like a view that's not just doom and gloom.
right. Yeah, I think it's that case. That's the case with a lot of things. It's about perspective. It's about giving learning opportunities a chance to enter our lives, and then seeing them for what they are. They're learning opportunities. And like in sports, I we may get judged and say we whether we won or lost a game.
Hmm.
I never looked at it like that. It was about what can we learn, what can we improve. Um, some weaknesses got exposed. How can we adapt and be better for the next time? Whereas other people are like, all right, how many games did you lose? Like, I don't look at it like that. How many lessons did I learn?
Mm.
Is the perspective, because that's the only way you can keep showing up, believing you can win
Right.
and being your best. Is to start with that belief, like I'm going to get better. I can figure this out. Um, Listening to what other people say I should be feeling or what I should think about myself. That's not going to help me to get better so
Right.
that I can come out on the side of this that I want to be on.
That's a good point because it's almost like it doesn't pigeonhole you into, okay, one situation or one interaction went badly. So now it's like the whole day is bad. It's like, no, it's an isolated incident that's here. Someone cut me
Yeah,
off. They cut me off here. They didn't cut
right.
me off an hour later to where I'm still talking about it, where I'm still going on. And it's like, I'm just speaking from being on the road earlier in the week, and it's like you watch this or that, and it's like immediately I want to burst out and just be like, "What are you doing?" Or I want to shake my fist, but it's like, okay, what's that going to do to them? They're not even looking in my direction. They blew past me and they're gone.
Right.
And it's like
Yeah.
if I continue to like hold on to it and internalize it, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
learn the lesson. People are
Yeah.
going to do what's in their best interest. They're not necessarily concerned about you. So
Yeah.
be a good defensive driver. Be glad that you were vigilant and you saw it coming and you got out of the way. And
Yeah.
it's like,
And then now I do say, "What are you doing?" And I still do that. But then you got to come back like you said, they're doing what they think is in their best interest, which is sometimes unfortunate because you need to be considerate of others
right,
around you because you can help keep yourself safe. But you do have to be paying attention um, to that.
right. I guess
Yeah.
how do you teach the young men and women and also like your colleagues lessons that you've learned or that you're learning as you guys go through the process of like starting a new football season or just getting into a new school year as colleges and things like that open up for the fall, spring semesters?
Well, everybody has their challenges that they're trying to work through,
Hmm.
and either we can be helpers or herders. I don't know. I just kind of made that up, but
Hmm.
either we can be helping them or we can be hurting,
Right.
and it's a choice.
Hmm.
And for me, and fortunately, the culture with the people I work with, we have a culture of helping each other,
Hmm.
and that's very helpful. So and it makes work fun, enjoyable because working in collegiate athletics is not for the faint of heart. You got to be tough. You got to be resilient. You have to have that emotional control,
Hmm.
and because you're dealing with very passionate people,
Right.
and for me, I know my purpose is to help people. So if I'm working with very passionate people, then I need to give grace, like, and let that person be themselves or let them work through what they're working through and maybe take a breath, take a walk, and then come back to the situation and, okay, here's how I think I can help.
That's a good point. And
Hmm.
yeah, when you mention just the dynamics of college, it is very different because you have a lot of students coming in where it's first time being away from home, like you're into your first years as an adult, you're trying to figure out like, okay, what do I do here? And as an athlete, you got all these opportunities coming your way, whether it's like sponsors wanting to gather your attention, you still got to be disciplined to show up to class. You've got your workout routine and schedule, and then you've got big game day where you got to show up and perform. And then you're
Yeah.
all the while trying to perform on these different levels where it's like, okay, here's what I do in the sport arena, here's what I do in my personal life, here's what I may do in my spiritual life. And then I don't know if people are thinking financially necessarily, but definitely your mental's being tested, your physicality is being tested, your emotions are up and down. It's like, hey, we might be riding a win streak or we might be having to dig out of this thing. But then to think on top of all of that, it's most important to get what's the lesson that we come out of this with and like how do we move forward instead of just being like, okay, we're just tallying up numbers and what's the next thing. But you're really speaking to going kind of deeper and like staying grounded to what's really going to matter past this, but still be in the moment enough to perform well and enjoy the experience along the way, regardless of like, hey, somebody might just be on one day, and it's like
Yeah.
let them deal with what they're dealing with, and then
Yeah.
when they maybe calm down, then I can maybe approach them. But it's weird. It's almost like do you feel like you have to be putting out fires at time and then like no, okay, that's not a fire I can fight at this moment. Like, let me leave that alone.
Yeah. And there I think about the quadrant of important, not important, and then like urgent, not urgent. Like there's that
Hmm.
matrix, and there are things that come towards us that are urgent, and we have to deal with those things
Right.
immediately. Then there's things that are important but
Hmm.
not urgent, So they stay on the list, but the things that are urgent move ahead of those.
Yeah.
There's things that are important and then not important, and I might be butchering that
No,
whole.
I think you got it
Um,
right. I remember
okay,
that from like a lesson that I got from ET where it was like, okay, like you put those things in there and it's like, this is how I can deal with
yeah,
this, whether it might be your emergency, but it's not necessarily my emergency. So you're
yeah,
important to me, but this isn't, if you didn't do your due diligence to get to this,
right,
I'll help you when I can, but I've got
right,
something more urgent and more pressing. It's like, I love
right,
you, but
yep,
like something else is taking place right now.
yep. And it's important to communicate those things too. Like, hey, I got your message. I'll get back to you. Got to when I can,
Right, right.
and then make sure we follow up. That's
Yeah.
those things are important. I think though that's a skill that I've been continue to work on is that communication part of I downgraded what you need from me based
Mm,
on what I need to get done.
mm,
And it's important to communicate those things. Most people understand. Most people are they get it.
right.
They're in the same situation. They got things that are urgent and important and not important, not urgent. So they are in that same situation as well.
Yeah. And you just reminded me, or it popped into my head, the book about practicing everyday assertiveness. And that's definitely been a game changer for me. And I was like, I should probably get the print version of this because of course I jumped right to Audible and I think
Hmm.
I got to the very end of the book, but I was like, okay, I gotta practice this day 7 to like day 30, where it's work with somebody that's gonna really challenge you to
Yeah.
be use your nose and to say, okay, this is what I need, and be able to ask for what you need in a direct way, not trying to
Hmm.
like work around it. Okay, like yes, I'm gonna be respectful of the person, but I'm gonna be direct and to the point to where I can express my needs without just kind of going along to get along. And then finally, it's like you either silently move away from the person or just be like, yeah, I don't want to hang out anymore. Or you kind of like start to stew and steep. And then it's like, ugh, this person's at it again. And then all the while, they're kind of just living in their own world, not thinking, oh, what's wrong with them? Like,
Hmm.
you've kind of built this expectation in your head where it's not really clear um, what it is you need from other people. So like pairing that quadrant of urgent, important, not important, or emergency. I think maybe that was the other one. And
Yeah.
it's like then like at least having those and then being able to assert yourself with how you deal with things really makes a difference, like night and day almost.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and what happened last year might be different than this year. What was
Right.
important last year and urgent may not be the same, and it may not be the same in the future. So we have to continue to adapt as well.
Mm,
To it can't be we get so fixed and well that this is always going to be urgent. This is always going to be important. Sometimes it is, and then
mm,
sometimes it's not.
mm.
Um, I think it's important to have people that can advise us
Yeah.
along the way. People we can talk to. Uh, as a coach, it's important to have a coach. Like
Mm,
coaches need coaches.
yeah.
We all need people that we can lean on and bounce things off of, so that you know it, because we might need a different way, a different strategy to handle a situation. Yeah. So let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Um, if you think about where you've been in the last 5 years, what are some I guess some principles that has guided your success?
In the last 5 years, what are some principles that have guided my success? I'd say being open for one, because looking back 5 years, let's say 2020, yeah, let's say from 2020 till now, like going from the pandemic, it was um, being open to take an opportunity to go to Puerto Rico for work and work with FEMA for a short stint. But then
Mhm.
it was like within 2 months, maybe. I'd say maybe a month and a half between the end of January to March is like, okay, we're here. You get relocated over there, and then next thing you know, you're going back home. Otherwise, you might be staying there for who knows how long. And then it's like, okay,
Hmm.
I'll go along with the project, help where I can. But then also learning, being open to other people's advice, especially people that care about me, family, being like, okay, if you're not going to do that, like still do something. You don't want gaps in your work history. And then
Hmm.
being humble or maybe sidestepping my pride to say, if I'm not, if I say my title doesn't necessarily matter as like working in engineering, working for this big organization, then I can take a local job at Home Depot and do that for, I think it was 8, 10 months. And then again, being open to move from North Georgia to South Georgia to work with a friend from college, where it's like, okay, you're back in engineering. You might be back at like the beginning level where you were from when you graduated college almost
Hmm.
8 years ago. But then it's like, hey,
Right.
this is an opportunity. So definitely that openness and to listen and being flexible to go forward with the opportunities that present themselves and putting my ego to the side, that's definitely helped me to be successful in the last 5 years.
Yeah. Nice. I, I would say those things that, who thinks about going to Puerto Rico to work and
Hmm.
then come back to take a job, like you said, at Home Depot when you're an engineer,
Yeah.
like you have an engineering degree, and I can think back. I have some parallels to that, and I know you know about them, but
Hmm.
it's important. Like it's not always a straight line. It's not always an upward straight line. I mean, the thing goes up and down. Sometimes it goes backwards. Sometimes it loops. Like the whole point, I think, is to stay in motion,
Yeah.
keep moving, and don't get caught up on, well, am I moving backwards? Am I moving sideways? Like
Right.
just keep moving. And because where you need to be, you just have faith that that's where you're going to end up being if you keep moving. And
Right.
I think for me, that's what but at the same time, don't take the extreme of that and just keep moving all over the place. Every 2 months you're moving and doing something different. Like, so I think going with the flow is a good thing.
Yeah.
And just kind of feeling out and exploring,
Right.
different opportunities, and not being so rigid that, hey, I'm an engineer, I can only do engineering.
Right.
I
Right.
bet there are things. I bet there are things that you utilize on your job now as an engineer that you learned in Puerto Rico and you learned at Home Depot.
Yeah. And that's a good question. Because I think I don't know if I learned it from those two places, but something I learned outside of engineering work, which was suggested to me by one of the engineers, was joining Toastmasters, which was like a leadership and public speaking international organization, which really focuses on, hey, this is how these are good habits to practice speaking, whether you want to give a TED talk or just talk with other people, but kind of thinking to like how I grew up and knowing how to do right by people, where it's like, okay, regardless of someone's title, position, whether they've got so many years on you or whether they're just like a college student coming in, like there are days of frustration, but going back to the thing of like, okay, I'm taught to respect people. And like we were talking about earlier, like being able to relate to people where they are and not just kind of show up as I'm this person. So therefore you have to respect me. And like it was kind of weird at Home Depot initially where it's like I really took it because it was like I needed to be working. I needed to be active because I got to a point where I basically became stagnant. And what, like you're saying, when you're not moving and you stagnate, that's when all those thoughts come in, all the low feeling, the depression, the anxiety, the this, the that, and then you start planning, over planning, you're going this way, going that way. But the main thing that really helped out of that was having the right people in my ear to like counsel, to
Hmm.
coach, to therapy, and some of those things where it's like, okay, hey, let's write down a plan and work to this. And as you're working through the plan, I think I remember 2021 was the time at Home Depot, and is maybe like multiple times during the week I would meet up with a coach that kind of doubled as a therapist for me, and we probably had like 3 hour long conversations where it was okay, let's walk through this, let's go through your background, let's go through your upbringing, not just you're working back in your hometown, you're living with your parents when you've been away from home for about 7 years or plus that, like the whole time in college, living on campus in Atlanta and things like that. And not saying I was getting into trouble, but just like the different dynamics of like you're grown up, you're an adult, and now you're back.
Hmm.
And it's like you're under your parents' roof, so you're going to follow the rules. And sometimes it feels like you're once you become an adult, the dynamics have to kind of shift to where you're still parent to child, but it's like adult child now, and not like baby child, 10-year old, 5 years old type thing. But all that to say, it, I did learn some things there that kind of continue to, how do I say, like the long and short of what you're saying, it's like maybe I learned some, I don't know if I want to call it bad. Like
Hmm.
I learned about certain types of people that are like, okay,
Yeah.
like some people are out to really make a name for themselves and they want you to know that, hey, I'm here to be seen, like notice me for whatever the justification may be. And it's
Yeah.
like you run into the same types of people regardless of what country you're in, what job you work, like what occupation you have, like the same personality types kind of show up. And like there's the ones you get well along with and those that you don't. But at the same
Hmm.
time, it's like you can't just run and hide from the people that you don't like or that aren't to your temperament. That's probably the biggest thing I learned.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great life lesson. Those are things we have to deal with those kinds of people. Not everyone's having a great day. They're not always
Yeah.
having the best day of their life. Some are having a tough day, a rough
Yeah.
day. And we come into contact with these people. And I think it's always best to, just pause and recognize, okay, something's not right here. Maybe I should fall back a little bit
Mm.
and reassess the situation, maybe reapproach them later. Um, Maybe they felt comfortable enough to have that sort of reaction to me. So that's a positive. But
Right.
if I respond in a way that's 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 negative, then we're going to have some bad outcomes here. So
Yeah.
I think it's important to recognize that and then just kind of fall back. Just take a deep breath. Yeah.
Mm. Well, let me ask you this one question so I don't keep you too long. But as the year winds down, we're working towards the fourth quarter. How do you see yourself looking back on the year or looking forward to celebrating Christmas?
Oh wow. Well, my oldest daughter's in grad school. Uh,
Congratulations.
there, you yeah, thank you at UGA, so down in your state.
Oh,
So
nice.
we'll probably look at what she's doing
Hmm.
and what her plans are, and see, and because my parents live down there in Georgia as well, so we
Hmm.
may see if that's where we want to be, spend some time. I've got some college friends that they want to do a family trip out in Colorado. We did that a couple of years ago. That was fun. We
Mm.
got a cabin, so maybe doing that as well. So
Okay.
I think definitely spending time with friends and family,
Yeah.
and a combination of those things. What about you?
For me, I think I haven't quite decided yet. I'm thinking
Yeah.
like Thanksgiving time, definitely go up, see my parents and see which siblings are coming into town. That way we can all get together. And then Christmas, I might do the same,
Hmm.
but if other plans come up, I'm flexible.
Okay. Yeah, we're good. Well, man, it's been awesome, man. Thanks for this. This has been fun catching up.
Likewise. Thank you for doing
Yeah.
this and best luck to you this season and in all your endeavors. I wish you well and your family well.
Thanks, Ashley. Take care.
Yes, sir.